to allowing us to formulate something that's totally natural. It's not going to be a cheap product to create, and it's also going to be rooted in this, foundational science of Ayurvedic medicine. And he said, that sounds great. And I'm not going to go too much into the ingredients. I'm going to let Dr. Suhas do that. Actually, what I decided today is I'm going to talk about the why. Why did we decide to do a weight management product? Suhas is going to talk about the what, what's actually in it, and Dr. Tom's going to talk about the how. Because, of course, as you probably could guess, we would never just create a product. We have an entire program, a lifestyle program that's going to go with it. So, go to my first slide, please. Typically, I'm not one to do a lot of statistics, but I couldn't help but do a few of these today. The average U.S. adult weighs 24 more pounds today than in the early 1960s. Now, if you think about that, that's an average statistic. That's also babies. That's all of people combined. 24 more pounds. There are over 1 billion overweight adults in the world today. And whenever I see statistics, sometimes it's easy, like we always hear statistics in the news every day. But it's good. Think about this. These are individuals who are struggling with excess weight every single day. 1 billion people around the world. 300 million of these are considered obese. There's 60 million overweight people today in the United States. 40 million of these are obese. And then, of course, there's very similar trends in the neighboring countries, Mexico and Canada. Next slide, please. 1 in 3 American adults and 1 in 5 children is now overweight. That's amazing when you think 1 in 5 children. Between 1998 and 2006, obesity rates have increased 37%, along with, of course, associated diseases of diabetes and cardiovascular. Now, the definition of obese is simply when excess body fat has accumulated to an extent that it may have an adverse effect on overall health. And then many of you have heard of the body mass index, which is a typical measurement which compares weight to height in looking at obesity. Next slide. Obesity is closely associated with several other disease conditions: heart disease, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, cancer, osteoarthritis, gastrointestinal reflux, and sleep apnea. And then the Western medical model, it's usually simply traced to genetic predisposition, excess calories in the diet, a lack of physical exercise, and then sometimes more particular lifestyle medical factors. And Ayurveda acknowledges each of those factors also, but it also acknowledges that there's always a mental, an emotional, and a spiritual or energetic component to any disease process. And this really is a major differentiating factor. We're not just going to talk about calories. We're going to talk about this whole component of integrative health and holistic. And, we all know the next one, the food choices today, the refined white sugars, carbohydrates, lack fiber, unhealthy fats, and trans fats. This is a huge one. We often talk to patients in our clinics. If you're going to make a dietary change, one of the most important things to start with is bringing a very healthy, high-quality, cold-pressed oil into your cooking. Olive oil is a great one, coconut, but a lot of these oils we're seeing, they're rancid. They're actually impure and toxic by the time they get to the supermarket shelf. So that's a big one, which adds to weight gain, synthetic ingredients, which we've talked about, artificial colorings, etc., preservatives. And in Ayurveda, it talks about you are what you eat, but also how, when, where, and why you eat, meaning the manner in which we actually consume food. Do we have awareness as we're eating, or are we just, drinking our Starbucks, walking down the street, eating a bagel? When there's certain times of day that are going to be more optimal for digestion. Where, again, is this mindfulness of eating, and why. Are we eating out of habit? Is it a craving? Are we really hungry? Next slide, please.